Let me unplug the phone. It's not snow on the ground. That there's hail. Beautiful. Means we got a cold front hitting high pressure heat. Yeah. It's been very warm most of the year. Snow last night and this morning. Very, very thick, fluffy stuff. So let's talk about Cabelas corporate. So there's a woman in my stories named Jamie Curtis. And a lot of y'all wanted to pretend I just was pulling famous people's names out of my backside. You know, she just happens to have the same name as some people. She's actually recorded on my YouTube channel. Take it down now! No. Different Jamie than the one I was talking about that got hit in the back of the head. Alright, so here's the story about Cabelas corporate. Go ahead. At Cabelas corporate, there are all these signs all over the place. And they had a little baby on it with a face on it, you know, with his hand up, and it just looked really sad, right? And they all say the same thing, every one of them, literally every single one of them, decorating every single office in the building. Well, every major office area that's obviously filled with cubicles. And these signs got this baby on there, and they all say, so many men, so little aspirin. It's supposed to be a joke, right? Imagine if, instead of saying so many men, so little aspirin, imagine if it had said so many women, so little aspirin. How quickly would there have been a lawsuit? Cabelas is supporting corporate sexism. You're right, they are, but not that way. Even Cabelas, this big manly sporting goods store, is where you go for man stuff, man toys. We gonna get us some fishing gear, Paul. Man toys. We gonna get us more stuff for our man cave. Gonna get us a big rat. Gonna get us a 10-point buck, Daddy. Cabelas. Yeah, even they sexist towards men because they have to be. They have to be. It is socially unacceptable not to be sexist towards men. Even as a man, as a white male, you have to fight for black rights and women's rights, no matter what your plight. Because if you don't, then you're called a racist and a sexist by people who don't care about your rights. They're too busy blaming you. Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Oh, it just stopped hailing. Wow, it's beautiful. I suppose I can turn that down low. At Cabelas corporate, they had those signs all over, and that's not the only place that happens. Look on books. Look on your YouTube channels. I want all of you men and women to take a look at how sexist you are towards men every single day. How many of your posts are hateful towards men? Your little boys and your little girls are hearing that. They're learning that. They're reading that. And You are the one perpetuating it. You're not giving me nothing, are you? You just want my money.
I do.
Well, here you go. There's 4 of these. I got them from you this morning.
Awesome.
Yep. I hope you got more $1 bills in. All right. Perfect yet again. Thank you, ma'am.
Of course.
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, who I choose to be in person. It's not the same person I am on the interwebs. My most sincere apologies, were it not for the fact that being a gentleman is a good way to get walked over, used as a carpet, while your predators harm you repeatedly over and over again. Yes, you're the knight in shining armor, aren't you? And when things don't go right, you're the plug-and-play victim. You are to blame for everything. Do not rescue anyone who is not willing to go to the police about it. If the woman is going to tell you that her or her children are being beaten or molested, you turn that in. You do the right thing. Alright, it is not safe for me to drive on this in this vehicle. So I am having to, sorry about that, pull back around. I am just too sloshy. Even with all the crap in the back, this vehicle is not heavy enough to drive on top of these little half marbles. It's slushy, it's icy, it's definitely a lot like rolling across ball bearings. So I'm gonna go super slow across this here parking lot and park myself in this here parking space. I got things I gotta do today, however, there are other things that I had to take care of before doing so. As a result, I have not left the McDonald's parking lot. Private parking lot. I can't get in trouble in the parking lot for driving with my plates expired since yesterday. Sucks, but it happens. Just one of the consequences of being broke. And my disability money is supposed to be enough for me to live on for the month. It never is. As far as housing goes, you have no idea how much that sucks. When the person who runs housing is victimizing the people who live there, including myself and multiple neighbors. She was on the news too. I keep trying to tell you, these people that I'm telling you about, many of them have been in the news. Polly Olson's in the news. In the Omaha newspaper, the Lincoln newspaper. You know who else is in the Omaha and Lincoln newspapers? Sarah Nelson. You know who else is in the Omaha and Lincoln newspapers? Michelle Decini. You know who else? Polly Olson. Michelle Quinn. Hard to fathom how they could miss that. What about the 2 Boulder officers who killed Dmitry Shankling? Yeah, they pulled their BS on me, and then they killed him while I was locked up. Oh, glory be. Don't listen to me. These predators say, don't listen to Sean, so you don't listen. You pull the wool over your own eyes, and then they do it to somebody else. It's your fault. Yours. See, there's a way to prevent these things from happening. Get involved, stay involved. Starts off with friends and family. Without them, people can do whatever they want to you. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's just you. Nobody cares. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here it says to do, but without that there is no deterrent from these people. So these predators, having no deterrent, get to do it again. Lucky for me, I'm intelligent enough to record it all. Best as I can, to the best of my abilities anyway. Speaking of, I hope I turned this off earlier. I did not, so it's been running for probably 2 to 3 hours. Shit, I'm gonna burn up my engine doing this. Now for Cabelas Corporate, that was all the way back in the 90s, and it only got worse. And of course, man at Cabelas, you're just supposed to shrug it off, and it's okay for women to be sexist to you. Just like every woman gets one free punch. Every woman, explain this to me. Every woman is allowed to punch us once for free. Why do you teach your daughters that? See, here's the thing, is that you teach violence as an answer. That's what you teach. You teach her it's okay for her to hit a man once for free, and he's not allowed to retaliate. He just has to take it. I've seen women straight up slap their boyfriends or husbands in public 5 or 6 times in a row, then complain their hand hurt. And then for many of us, we're expected to bring about violent solutions. Desiree Leonard expected me to take care of the situation with Mr. McGregor there. All vigilante and... No. If that stuff actually happened, it needs to be turned into the law. Not that it matters. If I go in by myself, I'll be threatened, harassed, or intimidated. And you guys don't pay attention to those videos. You don't try to understand. You don't try to understand why we are afraid. Most of these folks are angry with me because they were too afraid to speak up, and I recorded them admitting to it and showed you it is the truth. You may be afraid to speak up, but I'm not. Yes, I'm afraid. Absolutely. But with the sheer quantity of people who offered to help and then told me that them and their friends and families and their children's lives were being threatened. This is not okay. But you think it is. Each and every one of these people, each and every one of them being selfish. Did Miss Peaches think about the 36 other families, including Sarah Bacon, who are having their lives threatened? Including Cara Rogers, aka Cara Mia? There were a lot of predators I spoke out about. Catfish, like Layla Johnson, aka Missy Johnson. Dan Favorite knew about that situation, and I did ultimately get to record him and post him on YouTube admitting to that stuff. There's a lot of stuff he didn't want to admit to. He made sure not to admit to any of his wrongdoing. Made sure to try to hide it, redirect it. He was heavily involved in the situation. Now, between his evidence and his words being angry, the evidence shows that I'm telling the truth and that he's angry. It also shows that he was trying to deter other people from doing their legal obligation. The fact that he would knowingly sabotage such a thing, knowing that there are lives at stake, you should see the messages. And then listen to the conversations and look at the evidence. The evidence shows that it wasn't that I wasn't trying to turn in my predators. It's that people like Dan Favorite never spoke up. Never even tried. Layla Johnson got away with her nuttiness because nobody tried to help me turn her in. And now, from Dan Favorite's own mouth, there's evidence that he knew and was aware, and that he didn't care. Telling me about how wrong all this gaslighting is, and how wrong all this catfishing is, and how someone needs to help put a stop to it, and how he's that guy. And literally, he went out of his way to help her get away with it by never coming forward. It's not too bright, Dan. And then he wanted to try to sabotage a conversation. This is after telling me that me falling for it again, of course. He's going to help me and he's going to look at evidence. He's not going to back out at the last minute again. No, instead he went out of his way to be as much of an asshole as humanly possible and try to redirect it like a narcissist. I can say that. The reason I can say it is because these people did do wrong. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They did it knowingly, willingly, willfully, and intentionally. They knew these things were going on, and rather than helping me to put a stop to it, they assisted my predators in getting away with it. Over and over again. Knowing that that is exactly what they were doing. Knowing that they were eating up my time and my resources. And I was eating up theirs too. It wasn't a lack of effort. On all of these parts, they did make a lot of effort, but the one place they did not make any effort was in helping me to turn this in. They wanted me to do it alone, every one of them. After promising me that they were going to help. Well, the best way you can help is by stating the facts of the situations as they happened. Even if you're angry, which I can understand, your pride is hurt a lot. Not only did you lie, you got busted when you lied. But the fact is, you were involved with these situations, and therefore your testimony is valid, and so is my evidence. The real question is, if you're going to play anything else after the fact, why do your words after the fact, spoken in anger, why do they not match up with the facts? F-A-C-T-S. F-A-C-T-S. Facts. It is a fact that I save conversations and post them on YouTube publicly. It is a fact. It is a fact that I have a recording device on my keychain so I can record audio as well. It is a fact. I should post up the stuff from the hospital in Hood River. It's from one of them situations where I was trying to turn in abuse. From when they wanted to make sure I wasn't recording, well, I was recording. I was recording on my telephone and on my audio recording device. And when I showed him that my phone wasn't recording, because it wasn't, my audio recording device was still recording. I showed him that my phone wasn't recording. Because my phone wasn't recording. But I'm allowed to record audio. That's the thing about knowing and researching and looking up the laws, because you have to know these things when you are being victimized because of these things. And those of you who want to argue as if you're pocketbook lawyers, as if you know the law, you're going to make up the law as you go along and manufacture any excuse not to come forward, not to tell the truth, and not to be honest. And then you want to get angry with me when I show that in public for the world to see. I'd like to go back to Cabelas corporate offices in Sydney, Nebraska, and walk into them buildings and take pictures of the walls and see if those sexist posters are still all over the place. Special interest groups. They make it so that it's only a crime against certain people. That's messed up. If it's not illegal to take it out on a homeless person, but it's illegal to take it out on a black person, and that black person is only being victimized because they're homeless, that black person is going to want to play on of course, they did it because I'm black. And we have a lot of homeless people out there that are black. They want to tell us about how they're being victimized by other homeless people because they're black. Homeless people who are actually looking out for them. Like, no, dude, not everything is a friggin' hate crime against you. Just because they don't have enough vodka to go around on a bottle that you didn't have pitch on doesn't mean they hate you for being black. No, dude, get the hell out of my face with that crap. And when the Boulder police come and beat you down like they do to a white homeless person, yeah, that's not because you're black either. It's because you're homeless. If it was because you're black, they wouldn't be doing it to white homeless people, now would they? It'd just be black homeless people. Because it's a racial crime, no matter what. But you're not winning those cases, are you? Who are the ones who are actually winning the cases? The ones who the lawyers care about. And who do the lawyers care about? The ones in houses. Darren O'Connor proved that. After making his name on the backs of homeless people who he did nothing for. Only token friendships and token help. And pretending those people are good people after the fact. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pretend that my predators are perfect little angels. I'm not going to pretend that they're heavenly sunshine from the Almighty above. I'm not going to pretend they're made out of sugar and spice and everything nice. My life is not a nursery rhyme. It's not an Aesop's fable. It's not glistening vampires. It's not magical unicorns. Or pots of gold at the end of a rainbow with a leprechaun. My life is filthy reality. You guys can't accept the fact that a male can be victimized. While you were busy victimizing that said male for the sins of your fathers, for the sins of your ex-husbands, for the sins that were committed against your grandparents, things that have since been changed and rectified. You want to throw these things in my face that have already been changed for you, for your benefit, as excuses to look the other way to things that are happening to me now. You want to use women not having the right to vote 150 years ago. That is your excuse? Why I deserve to be victimized? How am I ever supposed to be able to take care of myself when I am constantly paying for the sins of others? Not only that, but others that you should have turned in. And many of you claim that you did. And that you had to go in alone. And you talk about how horrible the experience was to me. Well, this is not a fucking support group. That is not what this channel is about. This is not a whiny group like AA. You know why I quit drinking? I stayed drunk between the ages 16 and 21. It wasn't the day I almost killed myself with tequila that made me ultimately quit drinking. I went to a support group called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I walked into that room. And I listened to those self-righteous pricks talk about, oh, poor me, I destroyed other people's lives. Oh, poor me, I destroyed my children's lives. Oh, poor me, I destroyed my wife's life. Oh, poor me, I destroyed my husband's life. Poor you? Poor you? Why aren't you out there correcting what you did wrong? Why aren't you out there telling the truth now? That is one of the steps, is it not? Absolutely it is. I decided then and there I was going to do something productive instead of going to AA meetings and listening to a bunch of pussies whine about the lives that they destroyed. Feeling sorry for each other for the lives that they destroyed. Whining about how the lives that they destroyed, how these people don't want to help them. You destroyed their lives. Why would they want to? And then we, the victims of these friggin' idiots. That's the most disgusting part of an AA meeting. Walking in there, realizing that these are all predators that you know. And this stuff isn't going to the police. It's staying within the sanctity of the church. Because you're doing it in a basement at a church. I went to an AA meeting to get actual help, not to listen to a bunch of people whine about all their problems 2 to 5 times a week. 2 to 5 times a week. These people go and whine at each other. That's not productive. You know what's productive? Jamie Curtis gets a hold of me. Says she needs to move. She needs a hero. You know what's productive? Driving there in person and helping Jamie Curtis, along with Todd Rust and James Payton, and getting her stuff out of James Payton's house and into a truck and over to her new apartment. That's help. You say, hey, if you ever need my help, let me know. And I tell you I need your help. All I need for you to do is speak up. Yeah, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. Yeah, I realize that you're somewhere else. That doesn't mean you cannot make the effort. A lot of these stories tie in together for a reason. There are lessons to be learned in this. While you're living in some fantasy world about some Sean Schwartz who's some crazed lunatic who's chopping people up and feeding them to dogs and stuff, the reality is I am here on planet Earth. The fact is, I am an intelligent human being. The fact is that I'm being judged by bias, not by fact. The fact is that there are many people who are involved, and no matter what they want to say now, the evidence that they were already involved already existed and still exists. Mandy Hughes was watching one of my Facebook videos earlier, and I caught her doing it. Not intentionally. It gave me the option of adding somebody. There was somebody watching my video, and it said, gave me the option of adding them to the call, or adding them to the video, so I clicked on it. Turns out it was Mandy Hughes. Mandy Hughes was highly predatory. She may have had good intentions, she may not have, but her actions showed that she didn't. See, if you're reasoning for not coming forward, first of all, there's always a reason at the last minute why you can't keep your word. You not keeping your word is not my fault. I went to you for help, you promised to help me how I needed, and then you didn't. But you kept on maintaining that you were going to, and you didn't. You kept swearing up and down that you were going to, and you didn't. You also swore up and down that you were watching all my videos and reading all my posts. Obviously, you didn't. Well, there was a lot of evidence that was destroyed, but there's a lot of it that isn't. And there's enough evidence that isn't destroyed to drag these people into federal court. Because this took part across multiple jurisdictions, multiple state and county lines. Of course, the FBI ain't gonna listen to me, are they? How do we know that? Many recorded calls trying to get a hold of the FBI. When people want to accuse me of trying to kill somebody, or of actually killing somebody, like the situation with Selena Not Afraid. First thing I did was call the FBI and the local sheriff's department and the local police department, and I recorded those calls. Just checking in, sir. I'm in Chapel, Nebraska, but whatever. You want to blame me for a bunch of Native Americans who decided that Selena Not Afraid's life didn't matter? The fact that she was murdered by Native Americans doesn't make it okay. Doesn't justify the loss of life. And doesn't justify making false accusations. Again. How was I able to speak up about how Selena Not Afraid was murdered by exposure? How was I able to speak up about that 10 months before it happened? Because I was there in Hardin, Montana, listening to the stories of the people there with the boots on the ground. Lila Mountain Sheep and Mary Mountain Sheep. And Mr. John Nomi. and their friend Gilbert, they told me about people like Frida Nose's gun, who disappeared from Washington State on her way to Hardin, Montana, for her auntie's funeral. And I see these news stations saying, oh, we're speaking about it first. Hardin, Montana, epicenter for missing Native American women in the United States. We reported it first. No, Sean David Schwartz reported it first. Over 12 months before that claim. The news station that made that claim was, what was it? March or April of 2020 they made that claim. Maybe 2021. Got all these years running in together. That's what happens when it's 6 years worth of this. You got to sit down. You can't just speak because it's so complicated. You have to make sure that everything is in its proper context and in its proper place in the timeline. And even the officers who explained how important the timeline was in Natalie Bollinger's situation went out of their way to misrepresent the timeline so they could assist others in committing felonies against me. And by all means, right? Sexism is okay. You accuse me of being on drugs as an excuse to look the other way. Meanwhile, Natalie Bollinger was on drugs and you listened to her. Meanwhile, I have evidence of people actually, literally threatening to kill me and my family. And you guys pretend like I was threatening to kill her and her family as an excuse for doing that. But it's all okay. She says I slandered her name. I provide evidence, and she provides evidence, and the coroner provides evidence that I didn't slander her name. She slandered mine. You get to see how, although she was the one who was on drugs, I'm the one who gets painted as a druggie. Although she was the one out there being sexually active, I'm the one who's treated like I'm some sort of a pervert for not having sex. Even though the evidence shows that she thought she was in love with me by her own words. And you pretend that I was that guy. If a woman feels rejected, it's okay for her to destroy your life as a male, isn't it? Admit it. Admit it. This sexism is not okay. Facebook algorithms are sexist. YouTube algorithms are sexist. Both of them are also very, very much racist. Not against black people, but against whites. Not against women, but against men. Racial intolerance is apparently non-existent because it is tolerable to be racist against white men. It is tolerable to be sexist against white men. It is tolerable to ignore the law when it comes to white men. to bypass it entirely because no one cares. You think the KKK is going to speak up for me? Do you think I want the KKK to speak up for me? Anybody who points out that white people got no rights anymore, we've already given everything that we have to the cause, and then some. Have we not given enough for you to actually work together with us? I've been fighting for the rights of black kids since I was a child. I've been speaking out about what the girls that I grew up with in these places had to go through and why, since I was a child in those places. I have spoken up about the druggings of those children in those places for speaking up. But you don't care to listen to me, you only want to listen to Diane Sawyer, who said the same thing, by the way. She exposed it in no less than 3 separate states, one of them being Texas. Primary victims of most of these places, white males. If you're a white male in the system, it's probably because you're poor. Really poor. Like really, really, really poor. One of the most disgusting things that I see happening now is good parents having their kids taken away. And I'm not going to pretend for one moment that the state was wrong at all when they took me away from my parents. They didn't take me away from my parents. They took my parents away for punishment, for things that they had done. The unfortunate byproduct of that is that the children are punished too. I wasn't being punished because I was a bad kid. I was being... My dad got busted, 38 counts of cocaine possession with intent to sell. So he went to prison. No, they're not going to let me stay with my dad in prison. Use your brain on that. No, that's not a happening thing. And my mom, she's a female. They're a lot more lenient, especially in the 80s. A woman can do no wrong and all that. A woman would only do something wrong if a man makes her do it. And all of that. This is what we're being taught in the 80s. Everything a woman goes through is a man's fault. That's been through all of my life. I've heard this. My entire life, I've listened to my mom tell me about how men and Mexicans are all evil. Because her dad raped her and she was raped by a Mexican. How she hates men and hates Mexicans. Why? Not all Mexicans did that to you. Not all men did that to you. Not all whites did that to you. Not all browns did that to you. Not all Canadians did that to you. Not all Americans did that to you. Not all of any one of these groups did any of these things to you. Your predators have names. Their names are not men. Their names are not women. It is not okay to target either gender. Now, if you are going to target the way that they are taught, absolutely, that is not sexist. That is necessary for change. How are you going to even know what to do when you've got no clue what's going on? And that's the problem here in the United States. We got the blind leading the blind. We have people listening to loudmouthed, blusterous morons who are completely ignorant, but they say it with confidence. Or, they have more people on their side. They must be right. Sometimes democracy just means all the idiots are on the same side. Case in point, look how long black people were owned in this country. That is stupid. The majority of the population was fine with slavery. Why? For religious reasons. The Bible has instructions on how to treat your slaves. Slave owners used that as their excuse and got away with it for years. Just manipulate the Christians. It's in the book. It must be okay. I'll tell you what, if you treat your wife in the way the Bible tells you to, you're going to prison today. Ain't no messing around about that. You want to stone your wife to death in church like the Bible tells you to? No, that's not going to fly. Now, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't put it past a congregation to stand there and watch you do it. But you're going to prison for it. So keep that in mind when you want to bounce back and forth between the law and the Bible, depending on whichever one you see fit to manipulate for your own personal gain. Do you not realize what an abhorrent thing that you're doing? Do you not understand that we have been conditioned that everything is our fault and we just need to shut up when we are blamed for everything? That when there are posters all throughout our workplace that say so many men, so little aspirin, we're just supposed to walk by it without saying nothing? My boss was a woman when I complained to her, and I did. It's sexist. No, that didn't fly. I wonder how many other men walked through that building and went, that is completely wrong. And if we were to post up that stuff all over the place, saying so many women, so little aspirin, we'd be out of work. They'd look at the security cameras and every male involved would be fired immediately. That'd be the end of it. No, it wouldn't. It'd be all over the news. It'd be all over the news that Cabelas hired a bunch of sexist pigs to work at their corporate offices, and they treated women horribly and gawked at their hooters and hooted at their gawkers and all sorts of other creepy nonsense. This don't fly. Girls start cutting themselves at 5 times the rate of boys at the age of 15. For a reason. They're more likely to get hurt and cutting on themselves as they notice people will actually show up if they cut on themselves. Whereas if they tell you what's going on, you told them, oh, don't worry about it. Or, you know what, you can do something about it when you turn 18. Or, you just need to let it go. Or, your father wouldn't do that. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. It's not that daddy wouldn't rape his daughter. It's that he's not going to do it in front of you. He's going to ask her not to tell anybody. Never trust an adult who wants you to keep secrets. It doesn't matter if it's Mandy Singer, if it's Mandy Hughes, if it's Kayla Trujillo, if it's Natalie Bollinger or Maddie Boa. It doesn't matter if it's Lana Engeline. You think just because they're women, they should be allowed to do these things? No, it's against the law. And that's what the law is turning a blind eye to. They're not just turning a blind eye to it, though. They're taking an active part, an active role, an active involvement in the abuse. Because of slander that I'm never allowed to defend myself against. Do you think any of these officers who look at my arrest record and see that I was charged with felony assault against an officer, never mind the fact that the charges were dropped? It's my arrest record. That's what I was arrested for. For trying to turn in evidence that I was asked to turn in. For going where I was asked to go. For speaking with the people who asked to speak with me. Like Danica Garner. I did what I could with my abilities, with my resources. But I was completely alone in such screwed up situations. It doesn't matter what I can prove when you won't take a look. Neither will the cops, neither will the courts. They will ignore my abilities and my disabilities. And they will find me money because I don't have the money to take care of myself or jump through their hoops. I cannot financially take care of myself. I cannot physically take care of myself. And I cannot mentally take care of myself because of long-term abuse. I have to constantly look over my shoulder. Because I don't have a loved one anywhere near me. What I've got is words on the internet that always end up being bullshit. From people who are just as sexist in exactly the same way as those they complain about. Natalie was infatuated with me. She thought she was in love with me. All sorts of craziness. And you guys want to pretend that all of these dominoes, that's the domino effect there, bud. You got to go all the way back to the beginning and put them all back up. I don't have the time to do that. I don't have a place to do that. I don't have the finances to do that. I don't have the physical ability or the financial ability to continue going to places where you tell me if I go to these places they'll help me, because they don't. Yes, I do go to the library. The most important part is having someone to go in with me, though. A friend or family member. And all of this has prevented me from being able to see my friends or family. Them locking me up on false charges. Or forcing me to break the law to get a court date. Then me being denied the right to go to my court dates. Me being denied the right to face my accusers. And of course, they all, every single one of them, omit evidence. Anything that they omitted is important for a reason. They omitted the parts where I was trying to turn them in first, and they did everything they could to threaten, harass, and intimidate me so that I couldn't. So that I had to be afraid to try. Because if you keep trying after that, they will victimize the hell out of you and then play victim. Pretend like you're obstructing government operations by trying to turn in Scott DaCosta. To the people whose job it is to do that, Nebraska State Patrol. But repeatedly, Nebraska State Patrolman Bill Burr, as well as all of their dispatches, but we're going to go for number 2 instead. We're going to go Amanda Jonas. And number 3, Investigator Woods. All 3 of these state patrolmen, their own testimony, recorded and on my channel. It's on my channel for everyone to hear. Sorry, not Amanda Jonas, Sergeant Jones of Nebraska State Patrol Troop E. There's recording after recording after recording on my channel of Nebraska State Patrol saying things like it's not their job to police the police. There's also the Nebraska Attorney General's office that tells me that it is their job. It absolutely is Nebraska State Patrol's job. There's also situations with Nebraska State Patrol actually investigating my predators for others. Who is it that investigated Michelle Quinn, Nebraska State Patrol? Who is it that investigated Sarah Nelson, Nebraska State Patrol? Who is it that investigated Polly Olson, Nebraska State Patrol? Who is it that investigated Michelle DeCini, Nebraska State Patrol? It is Nebraska State Patrol's job to do these things when it comes to public officials and police. Unfortunately, Nebraska State Patrol did everything they could to assist my predators. First of all, Bill Burr was supposed to get a hold of Nebraska State Patrol. He worked for Nebraska State Patrol. He was supposed to have turned in the conversation between him and I. Nobody bothered to get back a hold of me ever over that. Repeatedly, I had to try to turn in Scott DaCosta to Scott DaCosta because that's who Nebraska State Patrol told me to turn it into. Or they told me to call a different agency. Always someone else's job. No, it's Nebraska State Patrol's job. You don't get to ignore your job as a police officer just because it is a disabled American that these things are happening to. That makes you a felon. So Bill Burr, with that situation over Scott DaCosta and his deputies who I was trying to turn in, having me sent to Scotts Bluff on a suicide hold for trying to turn them in. Oh, that worked out swell, didn't it? I tried to turn it into Nebraska State Patrol. Gary Jepson said, turn it into Bill Burr. You have to turn it into State Patrol. State Patrol are the people that you got to turn that into. It's State Patrol. I tried State Patrol. Bill Burr, years after the fact, of course, he claims, he's recorded on my channel even making these claims, that he turned it in. Now, Sergeant Jones of Nebraska State Patrol, Troop E, claimed that she was trying to call me prior to the assault from Scott DaCosta, and that my phone wasn't set up. Well, there were points in time where my phone wasn't set up, but the points in time where she would have been calling me, it was. She was calling me from restricted numbers, same as my predators. And when I tried to turn that into Scott DaCosta and Leslie Snell was there for all of it. She could hear every word of it when I was in that office. My predators in law enforcement got away with not doing their jobs by calling me from the same number. It says restricted number. That happens to be the same phone number that people are harassing me over. Yes, I get that they're not both calling from the same exact phone number. What I'm telling you is that when it pops up on my phone, how am I to know if it's one of these people who's going to threaten to kill my sister again, or threaten to kill me again, or just go into the phone for 10 minutes? Especially when I get people who are doing that at all hours of the day. And then after the assault by Scott DaCosta, that is when I finally found out that Sergeant Jones even exists. Because prior to that, it had just been the runaround. Just a bunch of bullshit. And me having to go to Scott DaCosta, who I am trying to turn in for felonies he and his officers have committed, and you're forcing me to go to my predator to turn him in, and to turn in other predators in that town? But it's okay, because I got a penis. I get it. I'm homeless. I don't matter. I'm not black, so it's not popular. I get it. That don't make it right. Scott DaCosta and his deputies playing stupid. For 6 months, I had to be the go-between between two individuals who are both playing retarded while treating me like I was retarded. Scott DaCosta telling me that I have to take it to Megan Misigatis because she's my advocate. Megan Misigatis telling me it's not her job. Me saying, well, will you tell the cops that? I need you to tell them that. Sean, you've already told them. I'm aware that I already told them. I need you to tell them. Not only that, I need you to get on the phone with me and tell them where I can record it so I have proof that it happened. Because you're never going to come forward. You're never going to speak out. You're never going to advocate while I am being victimized because I don't have an advocate. The least you can do is tell them you're not an advocate. That is the least you can do. And you make me go to people who have been predators towards me and others my entire life. My little brother's a child molester. His name is Michael Allen Albert. You know my stance on child molesters. Do you think me and Michael get along? You think me and that little mama's boy even speak to each other? Oh no. He don't like me because I don't lay down and just take it. And I don't like him because he doesn't know how to take no for an answer. He don't know how to keep his hands to himself. One thing you might notice about most of my predators that you're making excuses for. Most of them are drug addicts. By their own admission. or drug dealers, by their own admission, recorded and on my channel in their own words. Many, many, many of them have been, of course, charged with child abuse. Many of them have been charged with, of course, assaulting their spouse. These are a bunch of things you do not find on my record. Not even on my arrest record. To this day, after 6 years, this abuse started a whole year before Natalie was killed, mind you. And all this time, the people have been harming me as if I was a child molester or a rapist. And all of this time, not one victim has come forward to say that I did any such thing to them or to Natalie. Why is it that with all these people's accusations against me, not one of those accusations of the things that you harm me over to this day, not one of those accusations came from Natalie? Not one. Not once did Natalie Bollinger or Alicia Bollinger ever tell anybody that I raped or molested them. Do you know why? Because I never did. And then, of course, I understand your mentality. You guys want to pretend that I'm retarded, that I don't get you people. I do get you. I understand what you do. I understand your excuses for doing it. But you don't have any real reasons. Just cowardice. It's called selfishness. You don't care about anybody but you. There's a lot of moms I know. Their daughters told them, hey, daddy's doing bad things to me. Mom wouldn't listen. Their daughters cut on themselves and they got locked up. Got given the mentally ill tag. And goddamn, even after them women's killed themselves, these women are still with the husbands. Your daughter didn't kill herself because she was mentally ill. She didn't kill herself because daddy was raping her. She killed herself because you didn't care. I begged people to kill me for over a year before Natalie was killed for a reason. I needed help, and the way that they treated me, the way they dehumanized me for trying to get help, the way that they abused me, some of them even assaulting me for trying to get help, stopping the abuse. The evidence shows that I showed Natalie and her mom what I was being abused over. Oh wait, no, I couldn't do that at that point, could I? I had to just tell them. I couldn't even post Natalie's last email, the email that I exposed Ted Bollinger with. I couldn't even post the actual email because I couldn't take a screenshot. I had to copy and paste it. I didn't even learn to take screenshots until after Natalie was dead. Now, Josh Hughes once showed me how to take screenshots on my computer. But when I got a different computer, it didn't work the same. Stupid. So Nicole, she's the lady who started the Natalie Bollinger group that I later inherited. You know, I don't even want to tell these stories. I just want to be able to show the evidence in court. I don't even have a place to go through it and it. I can't afford to take care of myself because of the abuse over these things. You want to pretend that I'm being abused because of speaking out, when in reality, what would I have to speak out about if I wasn't being abused? I'm not going to an AA meeting to whine to a bunch of whiners, you whiners. I'm here to get help for actual victims, not a bunch of whiners. Oh, poor me, my grandma died. Oh, poor me, my grandma died. Guess what happened when my grandma died? I was victimized to no end, but you didn't care. You did not care. When you said you couldn't come forward because your grandma died, I didn't realize you meant forever. I didn't realize that you meant, all right, your grandma died 2 years ago, so you are going to continually and forever look the other way and allow these crimes to continue to be committed against me. For most of these people, the hardest question is an easy yes or no question. Why is that question so hard to answer? Did I come to you for help, yes or no? Well, I had this going on and I had that. Did I come to you for help, yes or no? If you can't answer that simple question, yeah, I don't mind posting up every single conversation we ever had on the internet. Yes, I did come to you for help. How did you treat me? When I was called a liar for things that you knew were true, did you ever speak up? Ever? No, you victimized me for showing proof that I was telling the truth when you were too much of a coward to do so. That's not on me. As long as people have hope, they stay alive. But when you take away all hope, the way that you've done with me, the way that you did with Natalie, because you didn't like us being friends, you were jealous of me and Natalie being friends, you were not okay with us being friends. We were both grown adults. Both consenting to a friendship. Just a friendship. No matter what she wanted, I was not willing or capable of giving more. But you want to pretend that I'm some sort of creepy stalker who runs around molesting little girls and chopping people into pieces and feeding them to their dogs. Because I'm different. Because I have Tourette syndrome, that makes it okay? Because I'm autistic, that makes it okay? Then you tell me, oh, I don't look autistic. What's an autistic person supposed to look like? What, you think autism comes with a wheelchair? No, we're not paraplegic or quadriplegic. We're human beings. Think we're all supposed to wear football helmets so you can identify us? You think the only words that we're supposed to know is dirt, 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 dirt? We got the smartest man on earth right now is a Russian who's got Down syndrome. You make fun of them. And then you make fun of us too. You pretend that we have Down syndrome, but then you pretend that we can't have a disability because we don't look like we have Down syndrome. We don't have visual markers like a person with Down syndrome has. You're judging us as if we have Down syndrome. Meanwhile, you shouldn't be judging someone with Down syndrome that way either. The smartest man on the planet has Down syndrome. So, yeah, maybe you should stop treating people with Down syndrome like they're stupid. And thereby, you should stop treating people who are autistic like they're stupid. Same thing with people who are schizophrenic. It's not okay to commit these crimes against someone who is schizophrenic. Matter of fact, it is more of a crime because of special interest groups that don't actually fight. See, that's the thing about most of the folks with mental disabilities. We don't have anybody with those disabilities fighting for us. We've got people who've got no clue what it's like for us, who are halfway, kind of, sorta, but not really, for nonprofit organizations, but they're getting paid $100,000 to $150,000 a year for being a chairman on a board of such thing. This is the world I live in. There's no magic rainbow with a pot of gold and a leprechaun and a unicorn. There's no Illuminati pulling the strings. There's no alien CIA friggin' brainwaves. And all the anal probes come from sick perverts. But you want to victimize the most victimized people in the country because they don't fit your criteria for being a victim. The most victimized people in America are the homeless, the disabled, and males. In nearly every category. They're also the least observed, the least fought for, and the least spoken for, because, of course, if you fight for a man's rights, you must be sexist. If you fight for a white person's rights, you must be racist. If a white person stands up for himself today because he was victimized, it must be because he's trying to take away from the black cause, or because he's trying to take away from the women's cause. When he speaks out about things that are happening literally to him today, you throw in his face things that you have never had to experience. You were not alive when women didn't have a right to vote. You were not alive. You're going to throw that in my face as an excuse to do nothing, or to try to make me feel bad for having male genitalia over something that I didn't do, something I didn't take part in. You are going to victimize and shame the victim for trying to get help because they have the wrong genitalia. How sick is that? Good to be radio. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.